Ram goes to meet Sita. His head is a bit, Valmiki says, as he went through the outer courtyards, which were full of people, Ram's head was bent. He didn't want to look at anyone, and he went inside. And one look, and Sita started trembling. She knew that something was wrong. Remember, at the end of Balakand, Valmiki had said they could read each other's minds or hearts, even when things were left unsaid. And Sita immediately said, "What's wrong? What happened?" And Ram's face had lost color. He was sweating. Vivarna vadanam prasvinnam. So the same Ram who had not changed at all in front of Kaikeyi and Dashrath, now thinking about what this meant for Sita, he was unsure. And he told Sita what had happened, what the demands were. And then he told her that she should stay in Ayodhya and take care of Dashrath and Kausalya. And also Sumitra and Kaikeyi. He told her that he had nothing against Kaikeyi. Ram also counseled Sita on how to deal with Bharat. Bharat was the younger brother, but now he would be king. So how to deal with him, he counseled her.
What is said?
No, how to deal with him. That's all it is said, that Ram counseled her. And then Sita spoke. Now Sita's reaction is very surprising. She looked at Ram in an affectionately angry way, Pranaya deva sankruddha. In mock anger. And she said, "What are these words that you're throwing around? I feel like laughing. These words are not worthy of you, of being spoken by you, nor should I be listening to them." Now remember how Dashrath had reacted. He had, collapsed in grief. So had Kausalya. Lakshman had become very angry. But Sita's reaction was like Ram's. She knew immediately what is the right thing to do. She was dharmadnya, dharmacharini. She knew dharma and she always followed it. So she never asked Ram whether he should follow the king's word or not. No questions. She also did not question that, why did it happen to him? Why me? After all, her mother-in-law had just destroyed her life. So she said nothing about any of this. But she had one objection to what Ram had said, which is why she had called the words laughable. Her argument was simple. She said that a husband and wife have to share everything. So whatever is asked of you automatically applies to me as well. So I have to go into the forest as well. That is why, where is the question of her staying back in Ayodhya and taking care of Dashrath or Kausalya or dealing with Bharat? That is why she called it laughable. Because I am also required to come with you into the forest. This was her argument. Now, once again, many times we are familiar with the story of Ram. So we know that Sita went into exile with Ram. So we don't realize the extraordinary nature of what she's saying. Look, she didn't have to go. That was not the ask. But she was completely devoted to Ram. Her thinking was, I am there to support you and to be with you come what may. Even if it means 14 years of hardship, I'm there with you. Right? Extraordinary commitment. On Ram and Sita's conversation as well, let's see a short video on this and then we will go ahead.
Yeah. One question before we... Where does the 14-year mark get mentioned?
No, that is mentioned in Kaikeyi's demands. So she says Ram must go into the forest in exile for 14 years and live as an ascetic. Okay. Those are the demands.
Okay.
Yeah.
But was it understood that he would come back and become king again?
So, no. Bharat be made Yuvraj and Ram be sent off into exile. Those are the demands. So, Bharat will then become king.
And her assumption was that Bharat would say, hey, I still want to be king after my elder brother returns.
Yes, that and perhaps her expectation also was that Ram may not return. Look, these were extremely, she was sending him off perhaps to his death. In fact, Ram mentions that to Sita as well. He says, when Sita says that I will come with you, he says, this is an extremely dangerous and difficult time. You don't know whether you will get food or water. There are dangerous animals in the forest. See, many times we think of this as this is not a picnic or a hike. Today we go on a hike, fairly secure, even when we go into the jungle. But here there was real danger, and there was a good possibility that Ram may not come back.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, let's carry on.
Yes.
So there was a video you wanted
Yes, a
to
short
post?
video on Sita about middle of the episode.
She reminded him that a husband and wife are meant to share everything. It is the husband alone that is always there for a woman, not her father, mother, or son. And a wife alone shares the destiny of her husband. O Ram, the best among men, I am also therefore required to live in the forest. Sita argued that what Kaikeyi asked of Ram automatically applied to her as well. Effectively, Sita was objecting to Ram considering her as being separate from him. And Anushishta asmi matra cha pitra cha vividhashrayam nasmi samprati vaktavya vartitavyam yathamaya. I have been taught well enough by my mother and my father about my duties in different life situations, about what I ought and ought not to do. Now there is no need to lecture me about any of this. Sita loved Ram and was totally devoted to him. Sita told him that she was least interested in the comforts of royal life and knew the difficulties of forest life. Further, they were to live as ascetics, and so she would be Niyata Brahmacharini. She would not be a burden on him during the Vanvas and would try and help in whatever manner she could. All she wanted was to be with him. But Ram urged her to drop the idea. Sita's eyes were beginning to tear up as Ram said, Hitabuddhya khaluvacho mayaitadabhidhiyate. I am saying this for your own good. The forest is full of terrible hardships. Food and water are hard to find. There are deadly snakes, dangerous insects, and wild beasts. It is a thorny path. Valmiki has devoted an entire sarga to explain these difficulties of forest life. But Sita countered, whatever the difficulties may be, I will gladly accept them only to be with you. Yas tvaya sah saswargo nirayo yas tvaya vina. For me, heaven is where we are together, and hell being without you. The tears were flowing in a torrent now. Arguing, urging, and entreating, she finally hugged Ram tightly and cried inconsolably. Patim brishamalingya chukrosha saswaram. Ram was finally convinced. He said, I did not know how you felt about it and was therefore reluctant to impose the hardship of Vanvas on you. O my beloved Sita, your decision is correct. Valmiki's narration of this electrifying conversation makes this much crystal clear. Ram and Sita were totally committed to upholding dharma and totally committed to each other. For Sita and Ram, Siya Ram, their relationship was not merely a hyphenation of their names, but a hyphenation of their destiny. Iti, her, asa. That is how it happened.
What incredible commitment. Heaven is where we are together, and hell being without you.
We hosted Amiga Natra on the show repeatedly over on the Hindi podcast, and there's a very famous clip which had gone like insanely viral back when this episode had released. I think she says something like, again, I don't remember the exact Sanskrit words, But I think at some point during the Vanvas, Ramji tells Sita that I don't even want heaven if it's without you.
Oh, yes, yes.
And again, what I was talking about at the start of this episode, that a lot of Sanatani kids, when they hear the Ramayana, this becomes their reference point for romance and life, and oneness and fidelity, staying true to one person. I think so much of this story is actually centered around romance and fidelity, and while
Commitment, yes.
commitment to one person,
Yes, yes.
marriage, family.
And this is also the outcome. In the beginning we were saying, so what is the outcome? What do we get? Why has Maharishi Valmiki written it? When we look at this ideal, our relationships will become better. If we have this kind of commitment to others, surely we will see a better relationship. All kinds of relationships, whether they are with spouse or children or at the workplace or with friends.
So I'm seeing someone very seriously at this point, as I mentioned to you off camera.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
When we were getting to know each other, she didn't tell me this, but like I had seen a photo, a very pretty looking photo of Ram and Sita as her wallpaper. And I just asked her, why do you keep that? So she said that so that in life I end up getting a partner. And I thought that's really cute, But again, we're both in our late 20s. I'm 31 years old. We're approaching that relationship with the intention of very, very steady, serious and intense commitment. And I genuinely believe this. I feel like one needs to ideally choose a partner from their own culture if they themselves are locked into their own culture. We had a Chinese national on the show recently as well. And she spoke about the same rule that they follow in China, that mostly Chinese people will choose Chinese partners. And I told her, yeah, that's true for India as well. Because we're culturally so elaborate a country that life just becomes easier if you choose someone from your own culture. This is just my opinion. But I feel that's way more important if you yourself are fully steeped in your own cultural values. Someone who shares your own value system in life ends up being a very, very good partner, because please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, and you set wonderful role models, right? Both of you. I mean, if you have the right role models of Sri Ram and Sita.
Yeah. It's why, and I don't just speak for myself here, but a lot of people from my generation and Gen Z, the generation after me, I don't understand concepts like polyamory and polygamy, where you have multiple partners and open relationships, which is new to India. It's supposed to be a very common thing in Bollywood. And it's also one of the reasons Bollywood is so criticized and people are moving away from it in our country, because people are very aware of these open secrets. But our culture is based on fidelity and the Ramayana and the relationship between Shiva and Parvati and Ma Sita and Sri Ram. So again, it's how a peaceful, flourishing experience of human life should be in my eyes. And it's also possibly the most heartfelt and memorable aspect of the Ramayana, the romance between Sri Ram and Ma Sita.
Yes, and we will see much more of this later on in Chitrakoot and Panchavati.
Hey, if you enjoyed this clip from The Ranveer Show, we've uploaded a ton of other clips related to a ton of other topics. So explore the channel, because there's something for everyone.